Hi everybody, it's Allison, and I wanted to talk to you today about some ideas that I've come up with for layering stamps, which is like all the rage right now. If you watch any YouTube videos from stampers or you're on Instagram a lot, you can see that there are a ton of people using layering stamps. And I just got my first set from Altenew. I love these stamps. These are the vintage flowers. I'm sorry for the glare. And I'm totally in love with them. But I knew that sometimes my crafting time is short and sweet and I don't have a lot of time to play around, so I wanted to come up with a chart that will allow me to have my ideas already out in front of me. I like to have color swatches of everything. Those of you that have followed me for a while know that my embossing powders are all labeled and I have the colors all put on the top of the vials themselves so that I can see what they'll actually look like once they're heated, because they tend to look very different from when they're not melted. So I get a lot of enjoyment out of playing with these colors and things like that. So I figured to save myself some time, I would make myself a chart using a bunch of different color combinations to see what works, what doesn't work. And this way, when I go to actually make a card, I can just say, okay, I'm in the mood to do this one, and I can just check out to see what colors I've used. Also, for these flowers, they're like cabbage roses. These have 4 layers. It's a little hard to see on some of them. This one here has a very pale pink at the back. That's the first layer, which is the most solid stamp if you're not familiar with how these layering stamps work. So that's this one. So some of the other stamps have only 3 layers. Like these roses have just 3 layers. A couple of them only have, 2 main parts and then a little bitty center. So you can kind of alter that however you want. But I figured if I do a chart using the most possible layers, then I can remove colors as I want to and kind of play around with it. So what I did here is I have labeled it by what kind of ink I use. So I used Versamagic for this particular rose, and then the colors that I've done. And I know that Altenew has their crisp dye inks, but I don't have those. I have a ton of fantastic Imagine inks, so that's what I wanted to work with, of course. So I figured I would just break it down by those. Altenew made it nice and simple for people with the 4 colors that kind of coordinate on their own. You don't have to do any thinking, but I kind of wanted to play around with what I had, of course, and see what I could do. So I started off at the bottom here, because I didn't know if I was going to fill up the whole page or not. And I just kind of played around. I pulled out colors and I sorted them out, and I decided that, this was a nice way to start, and then I just started playing around with different ones. And I will tell you, I don't have a MISTI stamping tool. I used my little clear acrylic block here. And at first it was kind of tough. You have to really kind of think about where you're going to line things up. And there's a guide on some of the stamp sets on how to line them up. But you have to take some time and really look through your block and make sure that you're lining it up properly. You can see here that this one's not lined up so good. But it doesn't matter because this is just a sample sheet. And I can see that I like this color palette that I've got here. But you can also see that as I go up, I get a little bit better with lining them up. This one came out really good. I love these colors. So I started off again with some Versamagic inks from Imagine or Sukaniko, depending on where you are. That's what they're from. And I also used a ton of Mementos. I don't own every color of Memento ink. I know it's hard to believe, but I do have all of the markers. And the markers are the same shade as they are in marker form to the ink pad form. So I use that a lot of times. This whole flower, for example, is just done with the markers. And you can see it looks really cool. I love that color combination. I think it's really neat. I also used my top row here. These are all with Versacolors. So these are pigments. So you can actually emboss those if you want to once you're done. I look forward to really trying that out. And then I did some leaves on the side. Again, these have 3 layers on them as opposed to 4. The leaves don't have 4 layers. At least the sets that I have, they don't have 4 layers. So I got to play around with those and see what kind of greens I want to use at some point when I start making cards with these fun stamps. But yeah, these are really cool to use. Definitely make a chart like this so that you can kind of see what you like. You know, do you really want it to be very monochromatic, or do you want to do something kind of funky and have all of these different colors in there? I happen to really like this one. I think it came out cool. That was a set with VersaMagic. And play with it, and don't, you know, don't feel like you have to stick with just pinks and purples and all of that. You know, you may not find a color like this in nature, but you know what? That's so pretty. It would be really nice for like a welcome baby card or a wedding card, something like that. So just play around, and it's nice to see what images you like with what colors, or what color combinations you're not really a fan of. Like, I don't love this one, but I think that this one's really pretty. And I put them on top of each other on purpose to see exactly how they compare to each other. So give this chart a try, and I hope that you'll let me know if you've done it. And then soon I will have some finished cards made with these beautiful stamps from Altenew. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon.